Welcome to another installment of Bite-Sized Videos. Today we're going to take a closer look at unlocking your very first dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV and the different tools that the game throws at you. Square Enix has put a lot of effort into trying to simplify unlocking, preparing for, and actually entering a player's first dungeon. Unfortunately, there's so much of this help going on that it can be confusing and overwhelming rather than actually assist you at times. Please note that this video contains what might be considered minor spoilers for new players who want to experience the content completely blind. If seeing the unlock quest, the name of the dungeon, and the locations is a spoiler to you, feel free to skip this video until after you've completed the quest for yourself, and then come back here to go through the stuff that was just thrown at you. Now that I'm indemnified against spoiler suits, let's get started. So after completing your whirlwind tour of Eorzean cities and receiving your very own airship minion, you're dispatched to Aleport to investigate possible pirate activity. With a quick quest check-in, you're sent to the dungeon, except you're required to make a pit stop at a building just north of Aleport called the Hall of the Novice. At the hall, you talk to the seasoned adventurer who will strongly recommend that you speak to the smith so that you can practice with tutorial instances before heading on to the dungeon. While the game strongly encourages you to run through the tutorials, this is completely optional. If you're at all experienced with MMOs, it will be familiar training. Don't stand in bad stuff, switch to ads when they appear, assist the tank, etc., etc. That being said, the rewards are a decent amount of experience and item level 17 armor that will last you well into your 20s. There are a total of 7 tutorials, each taking about 5 minutes, so it's not a huge time sink. From the Hall of the Novice, you travel up to the hill to a cave opening, where there is a quest NPC, and, surprise, another smith who is happy to give you another chance at taking the tutorials. Seriously, you'll notice Smith really gets around in Eorzea. You will also see some other adventurer NPCs who are hoping to get a shot at glory. If you are at all into lore, be sure to talk to them. Trust me on this. So after talking to the quest NPC at the cave entrance, this will unlock your first dungeon, Sastasha. To enter the dungeon, the game now gives you 2 methods, the Duty Finder or Duty Support. The Duty Finder is the traditional method of signing up for a party with other players to run dungeon or other instances you've unlocked later. If you already have up to 3 other players in your group, you will need to use the Duty Finder to start the dungeon. If you don't have a full group of 4 or are going solo, the Duty Finder will match you with other players to provide you with a full party of 4. 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS classes. The group leader, this is you if you're soloing, simply opens the Duty Finder by going to the menu, clicking Duty, and selecting Duty Finder. Then select the instance you are wanting to run by clicking in the checkbox. You only have one thing to select if you've just unlocked Sastasha. And then you click the Join button. Early on, this is a pretty simple tool to use. However, as you progress through the game, the number and types of instances available grows very quickly. For an excellent overview of the settings and options of the Duty Finder, as well as first-time dungeon expectations, check out Gamer Debbie's Duty Finder and Dungeon tutorial, which is linked in the upper right. Once you click Join, you will be placed into a queue while the game matches you with other players. If you already have a full party, your queue will be instant since no matching is needed. Generally, tanks and healers have a much shorter queue wait time than DPS since they are in higher demand. Dungeon queue times typically won't take more than 5 to 10 minutes for DPS though, as there are usually plenty of players running leveling roulettes that will be matched into the dungeon you've selected. As a first-timer, you may feel anxious about being in a cutscene while the other party members are waiting on you, or that you might mess up during fights due to inexperience. The really great thing about Final Fantasy XIV is that the overwhelming majority of players are happy to wait for you and very forgiving of newbie mistakes. They've been there, and they usually enjoy sharing their experiences with newcomers. The other players also get an extra reward for being in a party with someone brand new to the dungeon, so they have an extra incentive to be patient. The Duty Support system was introduced recently in patch 6.1. It provides players with the option of running the dungeon with 3 NPCs rather than live players. This provides players who don't want to wait for a queue or are anxious about grouping with strangers a great option of progressing through dungeon content. It also gives you a safe space for trying out different roles such as tank and healer. The NPCs are very non-judgmental. Initially, the Duty Support system was an option for just the first 11 instances in the A Realm Reborn 2.0 MSQ, as well as 4-person MSQ dungeons and Shadowbringers and Endwalker. However, it has since expanded to all 4-person instances in the MSQ through the end of Heavensward patch content. The final plan is to add it for all MSQ 4-person instances through Stormblood. Open the Duty Support screen by selecting Duty, then Duty Support. This will bring up a list of 4-person instances that you have unlocked that are supported by the Duty Support system. One thing to note is that optional dungeons such as Cutter's Cry, Sunken Temple, Halatali, and Aurum Vale are not part of the Duty Support system, since those dungeons are not required for the MSQ. When selecting the Duty Support, the game automatically provides you with the roles needed for a 4-person group. Inside the instance, the NPCs are pretty good at handling fights and boss mechanics. The dungeon run is often a little bit slower than it would be with Duty Finder and real players, as the NPCs are not quite as good at plowing through the trash pulls as real players are. But all in all, the Duty Support system provides you with a full experience of that dungeon and handles it quite well. So, there you have it. Final Fantasy XIV provides you with some great options for tackling your first dungeons. Hopefully this video has helped clarify those options. Tell me about your first dungeon experience in the comments below. Were you nervous grouping with strangers? Also, feel free to add to the info I provided. Did I miss anything? As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content and would like to see more, please be sure to like and subscribe. Take care and enjoy your journey.